day 17 of the Teach Thought 30-Day Reflective Teacher Challenge. So today's challenge will be a little bit of a rough one. It's what do I think the biggest issue in education is. And this one, I mean, it's hard to pin down really the biggest. There's so many things that, we could talk about, like the overimportance of testing, or we could talk about like how there's too many people like not involved in education at all, not involved in the educative process, have no idea how like learning, memory, any of that even works, with their thumbs all up in my pies all day long. People who never see my classroom, never see my school, that tell me what I have to do in it, which, I mean, that is a big problem, but I think ultimately the biggest problem in public education all boils down to funding. And it's kind of an interesting situation. I think there's no really good way to fix it that I can think of. Different states have different systems, and every system just seems to ultimately fail and really drastically underfund the educative process. In Ohio, we use the lottery to fund, supposed to be funding like a lot of it, but the lottery, I don't know, gets doled out to other places somehow, and the state always makes like a budget for how much money we're going to get, and then regardless, like if the lottery has a big year or not, our budget doesn't change. So I don't know what they do with all the other money. Probably money stuff, government stuff. But I think, yeah, like every problem, like in Michigan, they do, we also do property tax here in Ohio. Then in Michigan, no property tax, they do sales tax. But then, they say, oh, I wish we could do a property tax, it'd be so much better. And then down here we have property tax, and, the school districts with very expensive properties get lots of money, and school districts with not so much expensive properties get like no money. And then any like rural community, if you have like a couple hundred acres of farmland, you're going to get crushed. So, I mean, those people never want to vote up a levy, and even renewals, because it's so much money coming directly from them. But, sales tax seems to not work. Property tax, we just sit here and go like, oh man, I wish you'd use like sales tax or something else. And ultimately it comes down to there's just not enough money to warrant what it is that most teachers do. Like seriously, to be a teacher right now, like I really think something is like emotionally and mentally wrong with me that I decided to be a teacher, because I could have done a lot of other things. I could have made a lot more money doing a lot of other things. I have a science degree. I could have pursued many more careers that are much more lucrative and probably less stressful and less time consuming, especially if you look at what I'm getting out of it financially. And I think ultimately to really fix like most of the problems with education is pay. I mean, honestly, like I hate to be like sounding money grubbing, but here it goes. If you paid teachers the way you pay doctors and lawyers, I'm pretty sure that would pretty much fix most of the problems with education. There's this idea that, teachers are lazy, teachers are slackers, those who can't do, teach. And really, what incentive would there be to change that with crappy pay and kind of a joke for benefits a lot of the time in many districts? If you pay teachers the same way you pay doctors and lawyers, you're going to attract the best and brightest from the field into education. The problem is then to get rid of the idea of like, oh, the lazy, and there are some teachers that just kind of suck at their job and need to go. And to prevent that, you're going to pay them the same way you pay doctors or lawyers. You need to make it as hard to become a teacher as it is to become a doctor or lawyer, and completely change the way that education process is done, like at a collegiate level, not like, not as much like teaching college students, but I mean teaching future teachers. That entire model could shift to more of a medical model and have an actual residency, not some, state regulated extra paperwork residency where you actually, learn and have like more time to do observations within your teaching career. I think it would be a lot more useful for beginning teachers and a lot more supportive if you have a teacher overlooking your every move the way that a resident would have an attending looking over their every move. So I really think that would fix a whole list of the problems. But the big problem there is there's no real way to fund that, like paying a bunch of teachers who right now our ceiling is between 50 and 60,000. If you pay them, you know, the way we pay doctors, that's exponentially more money for everyone all across the board. Where's that money going to come from? I don't know. So there it is, my biggest problem. What do you guys think? Internet, greatest hive mind ever. How can we fix that problem? I really do think if we can get, not just throw money at the problem, but throw money at the teachers and then eliminate anybody who's going to go into teaching as like a backup or like a lazy career choice, and make it, you know, driven people who want to do it and, you know, can afford to, because, you know, there's a monetary incentive. What do you guys think? How can we make that happen? Put your comments and videos responses in the comment and video response type areas.